Volume. Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our Sunday afternoon Meet the Atheists edition. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the secular Kenyan. Can we call you the secular Kenyan, or how do you want me to call you?
Secular Kenyan is fine, but my name is Morris. Yeah.
Amazing. So nice to meet you, Morris.
Nice to meet you.
It always, like I said to you before went live, it makes me so happy to see fellow Africans just realizing, wait a minute, there's something very, very wrong with this religious concept, and people are waking up. People are waking up to this idea that we can live, good, productive, normal lives without, this idea of a divine being having to play us like puppets on strings. So tell us a little bit about your religious background, Morris. Did you grow up in a religion? If you didn't grow up in a religion, surely the religion must have influenced you on some level as a young person.
Thank you very much, Dean, and the Cape Town community. You guys are doing a wonderful job. I've been to your different social medias and keep it up. Yeah, we're also trying here in Kenya. It's a bit difficult. I think Kenya and East Africa generally is much more religious. Religion has a bigger role in this part of the world, uh, but and it's also bigger not just in the everyday's individual life, but also you can see it much more in the political scene, where you have to devour. We had an election last year, and they made it a split between the party of God and the party of non-religious. The same case that happens in America, where even if you're an atheist, you have to sing God. Yeah, but Morris, who is Morris? Yeah, I grew up as a Christian, a very devout Christian. My
Me
family,
too.
yeah, I used to love the Lord until I saw the light. And then, and yeah, actually, yeah, very religious. From the school that I went, all the way from primary school to high school, it's all religion. CRE, which is Christian Religious Education, was mandatory for my 12 years of study. Yeah, and everything around me was just Christianity. One thing that I notably noticed is I never heard of atheism. I had my questions in high school. I had a lot of questions, doubting like these Bible stories that don't make sense. But it never clicked that atheism could be an option. I always thought it's
Yeah.
okay if I'm not an atheist, then now I'm comparing. Now if I leave Christianity, will I have to become a Muslim or something? So it was a but when I go to the university in Western Kenya, Masinde Muliro, it was that I was still a Christian, but I was very skeptical at that point.
Mm,
I
mm,
was very
mm.
skeptical, and I joined various religious groups. The I was member of the Catholic, but that was for the trips. I was member of the Seventh Day Adventists, just for the trips. But then I had interactions with Muslims for the first time, and the more I delved into this, the more I realized something is amiss, something is not making
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And
So
eventually,
was that the breaking point for you? What was the final straw that broke the camel's back?
reading the Bible, I realized, reading, I realized, I realized I've never actually read the Bible. The Bible has always
Yeah.
been read for me. I've got to church and someone cherry picks this nice sermon of the mountain, love your neighbor. And then during my first year after campus, I started to look these things more critically. I had friends who are also very skeptics. That's also helped a lot.
Mm, mm.
And then I happened to come to watch some documentaries about slavery. They were purely about the transatlantic slavery from Africa, from West Africa, how the slaves were treated. Uh, and and then I also happened to watch a show from atheist community of Boston, ACA, the one for Dilla. I remember it was Matt Dillahunty and the lady called Tracy Harris. And at first I said, okay, I didn't become an atheist instantly, but I was like, well, maybe the Bible is not making sense. So I moved a step back and said, let me. I don't believe in the Christian God. I don't believe in Muslim God, but I believe there's a higher power. You know, this nonsense that people talk about. You know, the universe, the fine tuning, if where did the life come from? So I was struggling with those questions, but that was very brief because I remember I watched that show with Marjorie Hutton, and the same questions I was having, like, where did the life come from then? How come the world is so fine-tuned for us in terms of atmosphere and that
Yeah.
supporting? And then once those questions were answered in one show, I was like, okay, F it, I'm out. This thing is not making sense to me. And yeah. And one
That's
thing I have
true.
to say, um, one thing that also really helped me is to know there is an atheist out there. It's to know that atheism was an option. That was very important. And that's something that is normally understated. I think people in like deep in Saudi Arabia, they have the same problem. They are like, okay, I don't see Islam making sense, but then I have to become a Christian or a Hindu or a Jew or whatever. They don't see
Exactly.
atheism as
Yeah.
an option.
Yeah.
They have never
Yeah.
met
You
a,
ask you ask yourself. You know, we are indoctrinated to believe that religion has to be part of your life in some way. You know, so when you're faced with this option of, okay, when I leave religion, what now? You know, and then you feel the need to replace it with something, not realizing that it's like a rotten tooth. When you extract it, it's gone. You know.
exactly. Yeah, and also to add on to that, in Africa we have a unique problem, which is our governments are not very functioning properly in terms of something called social security and social welfare. So what has happened is the African governments have not invested in social welfare and social security, and that has left a huge gap that the religion has come to fill. So what has happened is if you leave church, you find most people, especially in rural areas in a part of Africa, church is everything to them. When they get sick, is the church members who are going to come in. When they have someone dies, the church that when you want. But every event, when you have a problem, you want to do what you call a harabee of fundraising. It's your members of your church. So that one has made people think church, first of all, is a force for good because it has a place of what government should be doing, and it has also made the church very powerful because it has given them one very powerful weapon called excommunication.
Yeah.
So when I tell you I'm chasing you away from my church, it's not just the spiritual aspect. I'm denying you your source of health care, your
Yeah.
source of education, whatever. So you might end up stranded in an organization that you actually don't believe in, but from the social
Yeah,
welfare.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the funny thing is, I had a conversation with Leo Igwe, and he said that religion always seeks to legitimize itself. You know, it'll always find some way. You know, like look at how we help the poor. Look at how
Yeah.
we do X, Y, Z. You know, look at the good we do. You know, and it's all a you know, it's a shield to try and keep people from looking at the truth of the matter.
Exactly. In fact, I also had a conversation with a friend of mine who is a very Catholic apologetic, he defender of Catholic, and I would bring about the issue of the Inquisition, the Crusaders. Look at the massacres in Canada. Look at the child abuse scandals worldwide. But then his argument is always, but look at all the schools the Catholic has built. Look at all the hospitals the Catholic has built. Then I told him, yeah, I don't disagree, but how do you think of me if I told you I run a children home where I take care of 100 kids, I've taken care of their life, they depend on me, but I might be sexually abusing two or three, but nevertheless,
I know.
99 are doing good. How would you think of me? So,
It's crazy. And you know, it's you know, I call it tap dancing. You know, when people tap dancing, they move around very quickly. And they'll always find some excuse. You know, again, you know, it's that concept. They have to legitimize themselves
yeah,
somehow. So
that's true.
um, what kind of are you involved in any kind of activism? And I mean, activism is not some big thing like going to do a lobby. Like some people are activists on social media, and just being, that opposition to religion. I know that your group, you have regular meetings, and you have talks and discussions, which is very encouraging to have. But just tell us what kind of activism you guys doing at the moment, and what you want to do maybe in future.
Okay. So in Kenya, we are in the process of we have one registered association called Atheist in Kenya, which was registered about 7 years ago. It was a long battle. But then now we are in the process. Actually, this week we should be able to get our certificate for the registration of the second association called SAS, which is Skeptics and Atheists Society of Kenya. So as I'm a member of SAS, and we're doing a lot of activities. The first thing you've seen me about YouTube. We are, but our main goal has been, number one, to normalize atheism, to normalize free expression of atheism, to make it as an option. Number two, to provide a safe space for atheists who want to come out and confess. That's why we normally have every month we have a hangout. We go to the nature. We have video shoots. The other thing is to push the church narrative. The church is a big weapon in this country. And they run the narrative the way you're just saying, they are always trying to look like to legitimize themselves as a force for good. So one thing, they have had a monopoly on the public sphere. When we first had a public appearance, I think it was about 4 years ago, I had a TV appearance with other atheists. There was a big pushback from the church. The same that they were saying, like, they were calling it virtue signaling, that you guys are now virtue signaling.
The irony.
Thank you guys. I want to teach this atheism to our kids. So yeah, we've come from far. For the last 4 or 5 years, we've really come from far, because I think now virtually every media hosts atheists or debate about God once in a while, and that's a very good thing. And the other thing we're doing is we've realized the best target are the young people. They are very skeptical, especially the college people, the people in universities, the young people. They are very skeptical because they are not. The good thing that happened to the atheist movement worldwide is the internet. Everybody has their own access to information. It was the days when you'd sit down and be read a story of the Sermon of the Mountain, and you think that's the whole narrative in the Bible is gone, because everybody can click and find out this information. I realized, despite me growing up in a very religious Christian environment, studying religious education for primary and high school, 12 years, I still, after I became an atheist, found out some verses that were like, wow, this is alien to me. To me, this Bible talks about slavery. There's genocide here that's expressively, not even implied, expressively ordained. There is an issue of rape in Deuteronomy, which are very disgusting. There is issue of human sacrifice, the story of Japheth. So there's the meaning of women. This is actually in the new, revised, good New Testament. Those who no, that's in the Old Testament. Now this is the good New Testament. So I had never heard of these things. And I know most Christians who, an average Christian in Kenya, have not heard these verses. So to tell them that, yes, there's a narrative that they give you about the Bible or the Quran, but there's also another narrative that they're not telling you. And to diffuse the notion that these books can be any source of morality or any source of good things. So normalizing that is one of the things that we are doing most. But we've had some bit of legal challenges with the government, but I think we will be able to solve them this week or next week. Because some media houses would not host us if we are not a legal entity. But we are doing a good job. That's how far we are today. In fact, I had to leave our show right now halfway to come to the show.
Good. How was your atheism received by the community around you? Was it an easy conversation to have, or a very difficult and uncomfortable conversation to have? How did that happen for you?
The first thing, of course, the first thing they do is call you a devil worshiper. I have heard it common where they miss. And then I told them even that devil is fiction too. So, and, but of course it was very negative at first.
Yeah,
Of course, it's always people are not comfortable with it. People have this question like, it's called, mostly people have cognitive dissonance. Like, how
yeah,
can you
yeah,
not be like this instead of this? So yeah, it was a bit there was a bit pushback, but I was a bit also arrogant because when you have the truth, it's no problem being a little bit bold, and
exactly.
sometimes you
They say the truth is not scared of the light.
that, yeah. So there was a bit of pushback from the community, from the fan. But
Yeah,
the good thing is something that helped me personally is also my religious background, the Christianity background, because I'm able to use that again as a weapon against them. So, like my parents, we agreed very well. If
yeah,
if you're Christians and you two things, God created me. God has a plan for me. So God is the one who created me an atheist. So don't interfere with what God is doing. The good Lord is doing in my life. Number two, prayer works.
amen, amen, amen.
Number two, prayer works. If
Yeah,
prayer works, why
exactly.
not pray?
Like my favorite line to use is to say, like, why don't you go and pray? Go
Yeah,
and
exactly.
pray that God will work in my life so that I can come back to, and let's see how effective the prayer is.
Yeah,
Maybe you also need to up your
and
beliefs.
it got to a point now. They promise they are going to pray. So like when we meet after a few months, I'm even the one prodding them. Hey, what's up? How are the prayers going? I've not seen anything on your side. I've not seen it.
I'm telling you that we have so much fun. It's at this stage. I've been an atheist now for over a decade. And at this stage, it's less. Like when you just become an atheist, you have a fire inside you. You want
Yeah,
to
it's just
go and burn out all the nonsense. But nowadays it's
yeah,
actually become it's become a little bit more of a compassionate thing. Like I feel so much compassion for people that I want to introduce them to the same truth that I have found, and even if they come kicking and screaming and shouting, it doesn't matter, because like I said, the truth is not scared of the light, and if they can present me with a truth, I'm
yeah,
bound to accept it. Like the
exactly.
thing is just there's absolutely no truth to it.
Yeah, that's true. In fact, I'd add it's a very normal stage. I've realized with most atheists that after you left religion, there is normally this bit of anger. Like
Yeah,
especially if you leave it late, you feel like you've wasted a lot of your years in this
yeah,
life.
yeah,
You,
yeah,
you
yeah,
you feel that it takes time to cool down and realize, okay, I've
yeah.
wasted a lot of time of my life, but I still have a lot of years ahead of me. I
Mm,
better not use the time left now holding on grudges that were past. I can make best use of this time. But it's a normal
exactly.
pattern that I've seen with most atheists. They feel
Yeah, and
really
you have to
bad.
go through that. You have to experience that anger,
Exactly.
and then after a while it levels out, and it's a natural process. Like you said, it's natural for
Yeah.
you to feel angry when you realize that you've been fooled.
Yeah, for such a
If
long
you
time.
don't
Yeah.
feel angry when people fool you, there's something wrong.
Yeah, that's true. That's it.
So, you tell us a little bit about what are you passionate about? Like what are the things that fuel you?
Um, I am passionate. Passionate. I am passionate about the truth. I'm just passionate about the truth. I love
Yeah,
the truth, uh, because it makes me authentic. There's nothing I feel nice about like just feeling I'm on the side. I'm on the right side. Like I don't have to struggle to explain myself. Like when you are a Christian, I realize the cognitive dissonance they go through, or a Muslim, especially when you're confronted with facts that are counter to whatever you believed all your life, and you are in a cognitive dissonance moment where do you believe this, do you not believe this? But the good thing with me is I have two things. I have facts on my side,
yeah,
and number two, what I don't know, I have the guts to tell you I don't know. Let's go find out.
exactly,
Not to
exactly,
make up stuff that I don't know. Therefore, there's a sky daddy that could do this. No, I don't know. We don't know. Yeah. And it's making me
exactly.
very so I'm passionate about the truth. Um, and I love debates. I love debates a lot.
Me too. I also am.
Philosophical debates, debates about religion.
Mm,
Um, I'm also very passionate. I hate poverty. I'm I'm just finished my master's in public policy. So I love the issue of social protections. This is aside from because I've seen what the church has done. They have taken over the social protection sector,
mm,
and it's a failure of the governments over time to secure this, to do what the government should do. So I do a lot of research in terms of what are the best social protection mechanism you can put for the vulnerable communities,
mm,
to uplift them. What are the best way? Like if let's say I want to donate $100, what is the most impactful way that you can give it, someone just go and drink it out, or you can give it 10, 10, 10, and then it has the biggest impact.
mm.
These are now economic facts, mostly in the public policy. Should you give it to the household, to the individual? So, I see social protection as a big. I'm very passionate about it. I see it as a big avenue to first of all to raise the
Exactly.
economic welfare of the
Yeah,
people. Once you do that, you give them you empower them even in terms
yeah,
of spiritual, because
yeah,
I normally look at it from if I was to convert a Kenyan from to tell them to leave their church, a Kenyan versus someone from, let's say, Norway or Sweden. The person in Norway will just have to look at the facts. Okay, this thing doesn't make sense. I'm out.
yeah,
But Kenyan will have to look at much more than the truth of the claim.
yeah.
They have to look at the church is giving me education, the church is giving me healthcare, the church is giving all these things. And so they might have to be tied up there, despite the fact that. So the point is, when you empower them, if they don't have to consider their healthcare is provided, their welfare
Yeah,
of education is
yeah,
provided,
yeah, yeah.
it becomes a rational argument for them and not an emotional argument.
The thing is that this kind of social structure that you're talking about is something that is part of African culture.
Yeah,
It's a part of African culture to have that social structure where people depend and rely upon one another. But now with the westernization of the continent, that's sort of like taken a back seat. It's
yeah.
taken a back seat
Mm.
to the new ideas, and religion is very quick to fill that gap.
Yeah,
Very, very
exactly.
quick to
And
step
it's
in
not a
there.
coincidence. It's not a big coincidence that as income levels increase in a society, religiosity declines
Mm,
significantly.
mm, mm.
I was challenging my friend from who I was challenging my friend the other day with the religious. I'm asking them, every Kenyan who want to take their school their kids to the best school. After that, they want to take them to UK, to Australia, to Canada, to Western Europe, in Scandinavian countries. I'm like, these are atheist countries. You guys are Christians. You should be looking forward to taking your kids to Malawi, to Uganda, which are 99% Christians. It's so it tells them that if you uplift people socially, then you solve 99% of their problem, including their spiritual problem. That's what I believe.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's so true, Bolelang. It's so true.
yeah.
Yeah. You know what you everything that you say resonates so strongly with me. You know, like we share you know, such a similar outlook on you know, just humanism and society in general. And
Perfect.
I always like to you know, I don't want to focus on the negative things, you know, but we have to talk about the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about is the harm that religion does. You know, in our own society as well. You know, like it just poisons. You cannot go a week without seeing a video of some crazy African pastor doing miracles, or you know, flying across the room with special effects and people waking up from the dead. You know, but you know, I think there's a much more insidious way that that religion harms people. You know, it always creates this idea that, you know, we are not good enough, that we are not enough, you know, that we have to keep on trying to you know, be more X, be
Yeah.
more Y. You know, like women are
Yeah.
not pure enough, women are not chaste enough, you know, like men are too lustful, you know. And it teaches us all to you know, to feel disgusted in our own human nature, you know, because only when we feel disgusted with ourselves, we can actually try and better ourselves, you know, not thinking that it is an intrinsic human value, you know, that humans
Mm,
have to better themselves and to better them as a
exactly.
society. And that's why I think humanism is goes hand in hand with atheism, you know, like, just because
Yeah.
what do you replace a core value with, you know? And humanism is the obvious answer for me. I don't know if you've experienced any kind of harm or you know, things that jump to mind for you, you know, in your society, where you know, in terms of the harm that religion does to people.
Um, yeah, there are quite a lot. There's quite a lot, especially on this continent of ours.
Yeah,
You see, religion for it, the first thing, the problem is that it's not true. It kills the critical thinkings of young people.
mm,
The fact that you teach them, you tell someone to believe, you know, you tell them, no, 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 don't question this much. That is the devil tempting you. And you're telling this to 5 year old, 6 year old, 7 year old. You're killing their critical thinking. And it manifests in so many other, they become vulnerable to bad ideas, to bad actors, because what we have seen in, especially in Kenya and let's say East Africa, and also a bit, I've seen a bit in South Africa with your pastor there who was resurrecting people from the dead. They have they are actors. They are very good actors. They have this. They
yeah,
are these charismatic. They're very charismatic, very courageous, very ruthless. And
mm,
so what they will do is they will first of all try to make sure that you feel you are not good enough. You are trying to achieve certain goodness, certain justification, certain whatever. And that is what they have done a lot here. And now, once they have done that, they're able to manipulate you, and they're able to, first of all, financially milk you dry. The fact, because they give you this hope. They are cult leaders. They give you this source of hope. For me to manipulate you, I have to hit you where you're most vulnerable. If you are rich, I cannot promise you more money. But if you're poor and I promise you money, that's a weak point.
yeah,
If you're sick and I promise I'm going to heal you instantly, that's a very weak point. So they're using these things to target the people who are quite vulnerable in the society. I think you've heard of Shakahola, the one of the worst massacre that is going on. I think it's called a Kilifi. I call it Kilifi
I did,
Christian
yeah,
cult.
yeah, I did,
Uh,
where they were finding all the bodies.
Yeah, they're fighting more bodies. They like to call it Kilifi cult. You know, every religious leaders now is telling us, no, 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 that's not Christian. That is cult. I'm like, no, it's Kilifi Christian Shakahola cult. The word
Right.
Christian is pronounced. These people were in a church. They were manipulated with the hope that they are going to meet Jesus physically.
Mm,
So far, I think we are around 249 bodies that have been recovered. 630 something are missing. The mass graves are there. There are a lot. It's quite a large areas. There are about 600 and something people missing. 630 something missing. Reported missing. There could be more. So at
Damn,
the
I
end of
didn't
it,
realize the scale of it, huh?
yeah, we could hit 1,000 bodies. These are people who are one convinced that you have to sell and sell their property and do whatever they can to go and you know the argument that leave the worldly position and come and see the Lord. And they went to the
It's
forest.
biblical.
Yeah, they fasted to meet the Lord. Now the problem I have with that is, first of all, they involve the kids. So the kids were forced to starve because there are more than half of the victims are kids. The other problem is that those who change their mind halfway, they were being killed. The reports of the detectives have shown that they were being physically killed. And this and if you hear such story, it's very easy to imagine. It's very easy to imagine these are the poor, just the poor people being targeted. One of the person there was working with Qatar Airlines. She had a very good job. She left the work, she sold the property to go and fast and meet Jesus. So nobody is safe, everybody is vulnerable. And this is what I'm
Nobody's
talking.
immune to bad thinking. Nobody
Yeah,
is immune to that. Yeah, that's so
yeah.
true.
So it's and that is just one of the small tragedies that we have. The big tragedies we have in Kenya is gospel prosperity gospel.
Mm.
The church, the richest. It was last year one of the biggest church reported their financials. They are in the tune of 3 billion Kenya shillings. That is about half a billion, I think, rands. Like that is just their one church revenue in Nairobi, and there are
It's
many.
obscene. Yeah, it's obscene. Why does a church need that much money? For the and I would like to know, what are they doing with those funds? Are they actually like putting it back into the community, or is it just
No,
going straight into the pocket of the pastor?
it's definitely a clique of few elite pastors with one cult leader at the top who is definitely
Yeah.
benefiting from the money. So they have bought themselves. They have private jets. They have they are living very lavish in the midst of poverty, in the midst of
Yeah.
the mass poverty. It's very bad and very disgusting. So and that is the thing that they have done. They have used they are really manipulating people financially. So that's one of the biggest harm they have done. There's of
Mm,
course the danger of physical harm. And the biggest one I normally say is the fact that they tell you they kill your critical thinking skills.
mm,
And now that one is not manifesting at the individual level, but at the political level. Because the last election, I told you, a region was very powerful. So even if you're bad candidates, as long as you're corrupt and willing to offer these people protection, political protection, they have no problem. They will mobilize their congregants to vote for you. And that's what politicians want. Politicians have no morals. As long as they can get people to vote for them and they stay in power, that's what they want. So it's a really bad, it's a very bad relationship, and
yeah.
it's a very bad relationship that is threatening the very fabric of this country, where people are not voting on merit, they are not voting based on policy issues or economic issues. They are voting, oh, these are Christian, this is one of us, let's vote for them, whether they are bad people. And that also reflects later in their accountability, because you're not going to do anything to them even if they steal money. They're just going to say you're attacking religion, and they get away
Yeah.
with it. Yeah.
It's
So it's
Stockholm
very bad.
syndrome. It's Stockholm syndrome in its purest form. The people the people feel sorry for the person that kidnapped them.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So, we always talk about, our journey away from religion, but I always say to myself, I wish I'd known this earlier. I wish I just discovered this one thing earlier. So, if you now, where you're standing now, can look back and speak to young Morris, what is the one thing that you would like to tell him?
Read the Bible. Yeah, it's normally sounds, it sounds ironical, but I normally tell people 90% of atheists I know either they read the Bible for themselves or they read the Quran for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
They read the Bible, read it for yourself. Don't go. This issue of going to church and the pastor read the verse for you and then he interpret it with all this context and whatever they want. Read the Bible for yourself. Just do that. Most people have become atheists out of reading the Bible than have become now Christians, because you realize. So that's what I would do if I were young. I would read the Bible for myself, and I think that would be achieving. And then the other thing, I would try to develop a little bit of read widely in terms of skeptical skills. My reading about history has really helped me, because that one was also very denied in me. I was forced not to take history so that I could accommodate religious education in my school. So reading about your history also is very important, so that I normally tell people. In fact, I was having this discussion with people today. Religion might be harmful, but it also has it has a cultural significance in it. There's a reason why Islam is mostly Arabic, and you have to learn even Arabic language to understand. When you become a Muslim, Allah creates you a Swahili Kenyan, but He wants you to learn Arabic to understand His word.
Exactly.
Hinduism is about Indians. It's an expression of their culture. Whether you can debate whether it's true or not, but it's an expression of their culture. It's an expression of what they do. Their gods are in Indians' names, everything. Christianity is an expression of Jewish culture. That's why God is called Yahweh. His favorite tribe is Jews. His favorite place is Jerusalem. It's an expression of their culture.
Yeah. And that's why Jesus is white. I'm going like, Africans, wake up! What's wrong with this picture? Why is your God white?
Exactly, that's what I'm asking. Also, you can see people have their own goals and their own they identify with. We know these girls are fictional, but at least they give them a cultural identity. What about Africans? We are told no, 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 no. God cannot look like you. This is black magic.
Yeah.
This is witchcraft. God cannot be black. Has to be blonde, white, with long hair. Virgin Mary, and it gives you. It's a big topic actually, because it makes you. It has made most people not to, because they cannot identify with their gods. They identify with people. They have this low self-esteem. That is why you find that if you give most African like a black doll, they're like, this doesn't look normal. This is not how a doll should look. But if you give them a white doll, it's like, oh, that's how a doll should look. It's the same kind of
it's an
slow.
inferiority complex, like religion has instilled an inferiority complex within Africans, that has basically exalted anything European to a level which is superior, and it's such bullshit, because even before colonization, like there was rich tradition in African culture, and it's all been whitewashed and pushed to the side, for this European ideologies to take place, and I think that is the biggest crime, like that the whole culture and identity has been whitewashed, and religion has played a very, very big part in that.
Yeah, it's a very sad story. It's a very sad story for the African identity.
Yeah, Morris, I don't want to take too much of your time, and I know you're going to prepare for another meeting after this. So I want to thank you on behalf of all our members. Thank you for being so very generous with your time and for sharing your story and your experience with us. Tell us, where can people find more of you on social media, and also send me the link to your YouTube channel on the messenger, and then I will post it in the comments below this video as well.
Okay. Thank you very much. You guys are doing a good job. Keep it up. I hope to come back again and again. I see Bolelang. Bolelang is a very active member also on our side. Karibu sana. My name is Secular Kenyan in every social media. Now, there are two. I have to be very careful. My socials are all Secular Kenyan. Facebook, Twitter, I'm Secular Kenyan. On TikTok, I'm a Secular Kenyan. On YouTube, I'm a the show is called Secular Hangout with Secular Kenyan. But those are my individual socials. But I would like also to people, if you can, support the atheist community of Kenya, which is our channel is called the Atheist Hangout. where we post our content. We have a lot of things going
I've,
on.
yeah, I've seen a couple of those shows. You guys really do a very good job of talking about actual events. You know, like it's not all about religion. You know, it's like focusing on topical issues that are relevant, and I really like that take on it.
Yeah, so yeah, we're trying that. Yeah, and we hope you guys can go there and support us and like us and spread our message. I think eventually we can form one big community that can, just like religions and churches have done, and then we can be able to outline, articulate our issues. Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Morris. Take care, and we'll see you out there in the World Wide Web, I guess.
Thank you very much for your time.